Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I have a very impressive chess game to share, where I played the Traxler gambit against LeelaZero. This game is sharp and masterful. I will share the chess tactics and strategies employed in this game, so let's get started without wasting any time. Leela opened with e4, and I responded with e5. By the way, I am playing with the black pieces because many of you complain that I can't defeat white while playing as black. That's just a myth. I can defeat white and even 100 grandmasters because I am the god of chess. Here, white attacks my pawn on f7 with her bishop. I respond by moving my knight to f6, prompting LeelaZero to consider knight g5, giving her the opportunity to attack my pawn on f7. That is my strategy. Now black can play d5 or capture the pawn on e4. Even bishop takes f7 check is viable, but I decide to move my bishop to c5, offering her the opportunity to capture my pawn on f7. She accepts, and now I get the opportunity to sacrifice my bishop on the f2 square. This brilliant sacrifice is called the Traxler opening, which you can employ in your games to surprise your opponents. If white dares to capture the bishop, you can initially capture the pawn on e4 with the knight, bringing it to the center. There are many variations white can employ from this position. You don't have to memorize all of them, you just need to understand the key ideas behind this gambit. You can place your knights in the center, play d5 to bring out your bishop, and your queen can move to f6 or h4 if desirable, like a soldier making camp on enemy territory with secret information about the enemies. If the king moves back, white has a total of 6 options for the king. If the king moves to e1, it will be utterly lost. You can bring your queen to h4, and playing pawn to g3 is a very bad choice, like someone trying to spray in your face while you're wearing a mask. Your opponent might be shocked that their rook is under attack, and they cannot capture the knight because their rook will be gone, and consequently, knight to d4 check will arrive on the board, causing white to lose their queen. Going back to the position, noticing that the knight can be captured, white might consider playing queen to f3, but this doesn't make any progress because knight takes h1 will give a check, and the bishop will also be under attack. Consequently, rook to f8 will arrive on the board, and the knight will be pinned down. We discovered that playing g3 is a very bad choice, which is why some of you might consider playing king to e2 as it looks like a reasonable move. Like trying to solve a mathematical problem and being just one step away from the answer, but your answer gets wrong. Now you have to check all your formulas and steps, which is stressful. In this position, we see that Leela cannot capture the bishop because there are many traps, like landmines on a battlefield. You have to walk carefully, or the game will be over. So we have king to f1, and I play queen to e7 to get rid of the knight's attack. The knight captures the rook, and Leela becomes happy, but I break her happiness by playing d5, a very reliable move. The bishop cannot move back to b3 because black can play a powerful move, like bringing in Ak47 to pinpoint the queen, resulting in its loss. Leela captures the pawn, and I play knight to d4, a very cunning move. Leela still cannot capture the bishop on f2 because I can play knight to g4 check, trapping her king. Playing king to f1 looks reasonable, but if you dare to consider king to g1, I can go with queen c5, attacking the king, and your game will be over. Also, playing king to e1 is the best move, but after queen f6, I will get the open file, and the game might become a draw, like going to a restaurant to eat fish only to find it closed, then going to another restaurant that doesn't serve that dish, leaving you frustrated. Going back to the position, here, some may consider playing knight to c3, but it is a very bad choice, like eating grass from a balcony. You are not a donkey or a dinosaur. Someone's brain might be a donkey, but their body is not. Here, black can respond with bishop to g4, and the queen will be under attack. Whether you block with the bishop or not, I can easily capture it. After the capture, I can play the powerful move knight to e4. You might attempt d3 to kick out my knight, like using chemicals to kill insects in cultivated land, but consequently, queen to f6 will open this file, forcing you to block it with your bishop. You have no other choice, and then I can easily capture it. You might be glad to capture my knight, but it doesn't affect my position, because f3 can come anyway to attack your 2 pieces. You can see that the king's knight will be under attack, and even if you protect it, f takes g2 will attack the queen and the king simultaneously, and you will lose the game. So, let me share an inspirational quote with you. Every challenge brings a lesson, and every lesson brings a blessing. That's why even challenges are something for which to be grateful. So, going back to the position, we discovered that playing knight to c3 is a very bad choice. LeelaZero played d6, aiming for some counterplay because she is a warrior, not a defensive player like you, who just tries to defend and waits for the opponent to blunder or run out of time. Playing d6 also opens the bishop's diagonal, which is why I just captured the pawn. You still cannot capture the bishop on f2, because if you went to Mars, you might interact with aliens who think you are the alien, which would be hilarious. Bishop g4 comes on the board, and your queen cannot go to e1 because of knight takes g2, which will fork your pieces, if the queen goes to f1. It is also a very vulnerable move, as an attack can come with the knight on e4, when the king moves back, knight to e2 check can come, making your king very vulnerable, like losing your ship in the Pacific Ocean and having to swim all the way back home, an impossible task. So, going back to the position, Leela didn't capture the bishop, she just moved her knight back to f7, trying some counterplay, but Leela, you are my colleague, and at the same time, I am your boss because all the chess strategies and tactics you use were thought of by me first. Leela played c3, telling me that although I might be her boss, she can do things I cannot. Leela also said that I might call myself the god of chess, but nobody else does. She claims I can be defeated by LeelaZero and her, as Stockfish is nothing compared to them. Now, you can see that my knight is under attack, and she is doing her best, even harassing me with insults. LeelaZero, I can counterattack, as someone said in chess, if you find a good move, look for a better one. I go with the dangerous move, bishop to g4, attacking the queen. Blocking with the bishop would be nonsense because I can recapture it, and it is well guarded by my knight. That is a 69 elo rated move, and Leela responded with queen to a4 check. My knight blocks on d7, which is also a playable move. Many unskilled players might be tempted to capture the knight, but you should think before you move. You might want to do what you desire, but you should also use wisdom to choose the right actions in life. I can capture the pawn on d4, and the queen on f6 is coming. From this position, the bishop on the crisscross applesauce will smash you like a ninja warrior with a katana sword, like watching a ninja movie where they jump wall to wall and perform superhero moves. Attempting such moves with an untrained body will only cause pain. So, going back to the position, some may consider playing d3, which opens up the bishop's line, but it is also a vulnerable move. I can respond with queen to f6, putting the king under attack, like watering a garden only to have rain come and render your efforts useless. We saw that playing d3 or capturing the knight are both bad moves, which is why Leela captured the bishop on f2, as it was the best time to do so, like how mangoes grow on mango trees in the summer. Capturing the bishop was the best move in that season. Have you ever wondered why mangoes grow on mango trees and not on pineapple trees or in a bargain tree? We have queen to h4 check. Playing queen to f6 check here is a bad choice because the queen, along with the knight, becomes useless. So in this position, we have queen to h4 check, she responds with g3, and my queen goes back to f6, attacking the king. The king cannot go to g1 because I can make a strong and bold move by playing knight to e2, causing significant damage to Leela's kingside. You can see that the game will be completely in my hands. Even if you capture my knight, my bishop can recapture, creating a very bad situation for you. It's like traveling to a village during the rainy season, slipping in the mud, and getting your dress and face dirty and smelly. So, going back to the position, the king also cannot move back to g1 because of queen to e1 checkmate, which would end the game. In our actual game, we have king to e3, and you can see that the king is located in the middle of the board. Historically, the saying goes, the sun never sets on the British Empire, and similarly, the white king is now in the center of the board. Believe me or not, you cannot give her any checks. Knight to f5 check wouldn't affect her because she can escape to d3. Like a ninja warrior on a railway platform, my queen cannot give any checks either, so my king slides out of this queen attack, and my knight gets a break after doing many jobs and late night work in the king's company. Leela's priority is to get the king out, which is why some may consider playing king to d3, but that is a completely vulnerable move. As you prepare your project before the deadline, it's important to ensure all elements are significant. Now, black can play bishop to f5 check, forcing the king to move to e3, and then queen to f4 will lead to a checkmate, like being flagged in the center. Why the hell? The king is located in the center. In this position, white may consider d3, but that is also a vulnerable move because the knight can come back to f5, giving the white king a check and forcing it to move. Then queen to f2 will lead to a checkmate, and the queen will celebrate with a wine party. So, let me share a beautiful quote in sudden with you. Good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know they're always there. So, going back to the position, the king is in the center, and she cannot do anything for the king unless she moves the queen. She tried g3, but I double shocked her with knight to f5, that is a very cunning move because, consequently, I capture the pawn on g3, attacking the rook. You cannot capture my knight because your rook is hanging, and all your pieces will hang, like going to a circus to see a lion, but you end up face to face with the lion in its cage. That's a joke, don't take it as fear. We have queen to a3 check and c5 on the board. After two moves, we have bishop to f5 check. You cannot block the check with d3 because every position changes when you make a move. It's like human behavior, emotions and feelings change daily based on philosophy and psychological factors. I can capture the bishop on c4, and your pawn is played. So, in this position, blocking with the bishop on d3 is also bad because I can capture, and after you recapture, queen to e4 check will lead to a checkmate. Going back to the position, none of the pieces can block it, which is why king to b3 is a forced move. Like going to the sea to view a sunset but missing it because you slept in. Here, black can respond with h5 to continue his plan, and you can see it will almost be checkmate after I play h4, which is why Leela has to consider queen to a4 to give the king some space. I played a very cunning move. Can you guess it? Think a little bit. The move is pawn to b5. This is a very tactical move, inspired by Mikhail Tal, the magician of chess who showed queen sacrifices that ultimately smash your queen and king. If you dare to capture the pawn with your bishop, the file will open, allowing me to play c4 check, forcing the king to move. If you capture it with your bishop, knight to c5 will fork the queen and king, like a knight attacking both fish and curry. If you capture the pawn with your queen, then I can play the great move. Can you guess it? Pause the video and think. The best move for this position is bishop to e6, attacking the queen. When you capture the bishop, knight to c5 will lead to another fork, and you will lose your queen. That's my strategy. So, going back to the position, we discovered that your bishop cannot capture the pawn, so here, Leela just captured the pawn with her queen, and I played rook to b8, trapping her queen on the board. It's like capturing her heart with a necklace, so romantic. After the capture and recapture, you can see that I am a queen up, and her rook on h1 is under attack. Believe it or not, she cannot protect her rook. For instance, if she tries to protect it, I can play a4 check, forcing the king to move. No matter where the king goes, I can easily capture her bishop on c4, giving me a clear path to victory. In this position, realizing that the rook cannot be protected, she played d3, protecting the bishop. After I captured her rook, we can count the pieces. I have a queen against her 3 minor pieces and 1 rook and knight. But her king is in a very vulnerable position, like being in a forest trying to survive. So, in this position, we have bishop to e3 and after a few more moves, bishop to h3, and eventually knight to e4, Leela is trying her best to protect her structure from any queen attack, like building a great wall of China to stop the enemies. But you know what? Most of the China products are third-party and fake. I can break through this wall by capturing the piece. After that, bishop to a5, and a couple of moves later, you can see that her king cannot capture the pawn on a4 because I can easily capture the pawn on d3, putting her bishop under attack and compromising her king's safety. So, in this position, we saw king to a3, and a few moves later, b4. Despite this, Leela didn't capture the pawn. She moved her king back for safety. A couple of moves later, you can see that we had some piece exchanges, and her king moved up to f3. She cannot capture the pawn because queen to f6 can arrive on the diagonal. And the knight will attack the pawn, allowing the queen to arrive at c3. That would be a very bad move for her, and you can see that I am completely winning the game. Leela has no good options because my knight, along with my queen, is supporting a passed pawn. As the game progressed, we had more exchanges, and I continued advancing my c-pawn. I finally picked up the a2 pawn, pushed my pawns, promoted a new queen, and ultimately checkmated her. This was a very beautiful and insane game played against LeelaZero. I hope you enjoyed my content and commentary. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye. See ya.